Hello, and we are live. Hello, so wonderful to see everybody, and welcome to the FMWC Asia Pacific Continent Battle. This is the very first of 5 continent battles that will be held this year, and it is my pleasure to be one of your hosts for today's battle. My name is Danielle Stein Fairhurst, and I'd like you to, first of all, introduce you to my co-host, Tim Heng. Tim is a director at financial modelling consultancy Sun Product. He is a Microsoft MVP for Excel and so much more. How are you doing today, Tim?
Doing well, Danielle. Glad to be here. It's exciting. I think this is the first live battle of the year.
It is.
Everyone who's watching, if you don't know Danielle, you're clearly haven't been part of this so far, part of the journey here. Danielle is also a Microsoft MVP. She's a trainer, as well as an author of several books on financial modeling, including Financial Modeling for Dummies.
That's right.
So what do we have for us today, Danielle?
Yeah, well, today's a little bit of a different format. It's a little bit shorter than what we've done in the past. We have just the 4 players, so we've got Jason, Ben, Dan, and Nick, who we will introduce you to in just a moment. We've only got one case, and the case, they have got 30 minutes to get through the case. So a little bit of a different format to what we've done in the past. So for those who are new, the players have got a certain amount of time to get through the case. It's a completely brand new case. Nobody has seen it before, and they are going to solve as much as they possibly can within the time frame. So, Jason, how are you feeling today? You all set to go?
Hey, Danielle.
Hey.
A little bit nervous, but yeah, I'm excited to do the case.
Must be very nerve-wracking. I'm not surprised. And Ben, I saw you doing some stretches earlier when we were, doing a few warm-ups. You all set to go?
I hope so. We'll find out soon.
And Dan, how does it feel to be on the other side? Now, you've been part of the question design team for quite a few years now, and how is it being on the other side of it?
Well, I think it's more fun and less work on this side. I only got to, show up for an hour and do my thing. That's it. So it's a lot easier, I think.
Yeah, okay. If you say so. And Nick, you look like you've got your lucky T-shirt on. Is that right?
I'm just trying to represent the Kiwis, do what we can against the other representatives for Australia, China, and Japan. So see what we can do.
So we've got the guys coming from all around the world, and we've got viewers tuning in from all over the world as well. There's been so much interest in esports like this. It's really becoming just so popular. So I think it might be time. What's next, Tim? I think it might be time to take a look at the case. Is that right?
Yep, sounds good. Let's see it.
Minesweeper is an old, Windows classic single-player game. 10 bombs are placed on a playing field of 10 by 10. The player needs to demine the field by clicking on all the non-bomb cells. If a player clicks on a cell that contains a bomb, the game is over. Each non-mine cell contains a number that shows how many bombs are located in the 8 adjacent cells. If the cell is empty, it means that it has no bombs in the adjacent cells. Additionally, if the player clicks on an empty cell, it will automatically open all the 8 cells next to it. If any of these cells have no bombs around it, the 8 cells next to that cell will be opened automatically as well. Participants have to face 5 levels in increasing complexity, and each level presents a different question.
Oh, wow. Minesweeper. Do you remember that, Tim?
Yeah, goodness. Who hasn't spent hours just sitting around playing one more game, trying to finish it?
Yeah. Wow, that takes me back. Gosh. So I think the participants have got a copy of the model now, and we're going to give them about 5 minutes to take a look through the case, just to kind of set the scene and just kind of get familiar with the case. They're not allowed to start modelling yet. but we're just going to give them get a couple of minutes to get started on that. My goodness. Well, Tim and I did know yesterday that it was going to be Minesweeper. And of course, the first thing I did was just acquaint myself with the game, and consequently lost quite a bit of time as I got back into playing Minesweeper, which was, gosh, I mustn't have planned that for a very long time. Did you do the same?
Oh, I did. So one of the things I used to do with Minesweeper, just to make it a little bit more challenging, playing back in the day, you go to expert mode, which is fair enough. But then I used to try and solve it without ticking any of the mines in the grid. So basically, I would only allow myself to click on the non-mine cells effectively.
Wow.
It's just an extra little bit of a challenge.
Okay. So you're I
was going to say, there's we're in the financial modeling World Cup battles here. A lot of the Excel users love their keyboard shortcuts. Did you know there's a mouse shortcut in Minesweeper?
Really?
So one of the there's a keyboard shortcut, mouse shortcut in Minesweeper, where if you were to both left and right click on one of the squares, if there is a mine, so if it's identified where the mine is, so if you've placed the mine, it'll automatically clear all the rest of the squares around it on the assumption that your mine placement is correct.
Wow, I did not know that. Wow, gosh, you are very much into this Minesweeper, my goodness. Because I understand that they actually started, like one of the reasons that they started Minesweeper was to teach people shortcuts, how to use the mouse shortcuts. I think that was kind of one of the reasons. It was one of the very first Microsoft games, and I think it came out as part of the Windows Entertainment Pack. I think that was going. It's one of the ones we did last year. I think was the game of Snake. So we've been through a lot of the old games.
That's one thing I'm really enjoying about all these live battles, that we're actually getting to see some of these old games and some of these old it's nostalgic concepts.
Takes you back. Yeah. So just to be clear, just so that those who are new to this, the participants are not actually going to be playing the game. They need to simulate what the results of the game would be in Excel, of course. So it's they're not actually going to be playing Minesweeper. They're going to be building Excel formulas, and I'm really interested to see what kind of techniques that they come up with today. It's always amazing, you look at the cases and you think you know what they're going to come up with, and they often come up with a solution that you just are not expecting.
That's right. And before we start chatting to the players and see if they have any questions, it's probably worth noting for the viewers that this case is available to download for free.
Yes.
So if you head to the Financial Modeling World Cup homepage, until the end of the live stream, you can download this case for free and play along at home if you like.
Yeah. I know that a lot of these cases, the past cases, are available in the FMWC shop, so you can buy them for like $10 or something like that. But when they run live streams like this, they're free right until the end of today.
All right. Do you think we've given them enough time to review the case?
Yeah, I think it must be time to see their screens and to get going. Hey guys, Jason, right. Ben, Dan, Nick, do you have any questions? Have you had a chance to take a look? All good, Ben? Any questions before we get started? Okay, Tim, would you like to do the honors?
Let's do it. 3, 2, 1, and let's start.
Let's do it. And the clock has begun. Okay, this is a bit of a change. This is different to what we've had in the past. We are able to see all 4 players. We can see their screens simultaneously, and that is fantastic, because what we've had in the past was only being able to see 1 or 2 and having to switch between them. My goodness, it's just so much to see. You can see them all at once. What do you think, Tim?
Oh, I think it's great, and I love seeing the fact that normally we need to guess as to who is doing what, but now we can actually see everyone's different approaches side by side, which is fantastic. I love the fact that Dan has just copied everything off to another workbook. It seems like it looks. The column heading seem to suggest that he's in a sort of a fresh workbook. I think some of the participants might not be muted though, so they might just want to mute quickly, or I don't know if the team can mute them. I noted Jason just very quickly answered the first round of questions by manually looking at the
super fast. Yeah. I think the secret here is going to be creating the simulation first of all. So getting the game, figuring out how to simulate the answers. Okay, interesting. So Jason's got 4, a grid of. Okay, he's got 8 now. Get the grid set up, and they're all sort of approaching things quite differently.
Yeah, tell me about it. I think it's interesting that Jason's trying to model like several different grids, because it's almost like he wants to put each of the level 2 bomb locations into its own area, right? So you can see he'll. Oh my gosh, is he manually highlighting those? That's going to take a while. I have to say, yeah.
I mean, it is possible. I mean, you totally could do these manually, but it's going to be a heck of a lot quicker if they can get some formulas.
Definitely. So you can see on Nick's side, he's using index and match to try and pick up something, I guess.
Nice. So he's kind of creating, the grid. So there's kind of 10 rows and 10 columns, and so then the formulas have got the placement of each of those, and so they just need to create some kind of I would imagine some kind of index match or some kind of formula that's going to pick up the row heading and the column heading, and then pick up what the sequence of all the different clicks are within the game, so that they can then figure out. The first question, I think, was figuring out the answer, wasn't it? The total for each. Yeah, okay.
So check out what I was going to say. Check out what Jason's doing in the top left-hand side. He's using a right function to try and work out how many numbers, I guess, he needs to pull through. So he split out the left-hand, or the letter of the grid using the left function, and he's trying to get this right function to work over here right now, which is interesting.
I wouldn't have thought it needed to have its own grid. Okay.
See, the interesting
the
thing
left
about
and
this
the right
is that I reckon he's probably overcomplicated this in some ways. The something like mid would have been, I guess, my approach to try and solve this, because you always know the numbers start from the second character, but he's had to do this shift to try and work out how many characters to pull in, whether it's 2 characters or 1 character, based on whether it's a 10 or 1 to 9 essentially. It's a little bit of extra complication.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I mean,
I
there's so many different approaches. Yeah. But I mean, it's really about the speed, isn't it? I mean, whatever approach they take, if they're just going to get through it as quickly as possible and get the answer. So that green column that you can see over on the left, the E, that is where they have to place the answer. So that is what we're going to see where the correct answers are going to go. So which number? Yeah. So we want to know what the number is going to be based on the target cell.
Okay. Let's head back to the big view so we can see what everyone else is doing at the same time. I'm really going to enjoy this whole four-person view. This is a lot of fun.
It's great, isn't it?
Can we zoom in on what Dan is doing at the moment? Because Dan's doing something really interesting.
Yeah.
I can't quite tell which question he's trying to solve right now, because he's just immediately jumped to the second worksheet and has just started playing around with things. But it looks like he seems to be trying to do that grand solution to solve everything at once, basically.
Yeah, a lot of these problems are like that. If you're able to create one solution that solves everything, spend some time. It might take a little bit of time, but if you can get that grand solution, and then it's going to be so much quicker at the end, and then you just see the points just rolling in. So
it
far
looks
we
like
haven't got any.
Sorry, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, Dan doesn't have any points yet. Jason and Ben are on 60, and Dan and Nick are still working on their grand solutions.
I think Jason and Ben have basically just entered in the first set of values to sort of get points on the board, because the last thing you want is to sort of end up at the very end of this with no points, because and having lost because of that, right? We saw that in the FMWC Open last year as well, where people probably could have got across the line if they just entered a couple of answers that you could have manually solved.
A lot of it can be done manually, but you there's no way you could do the entire thing in the time frame manually.
Oh goodness, no.
But you can get a couple of points.
I'll tell you what though, if you have a chance to check out the FMWC final, the Open finals last year, Andrew, I think in the semi-final match, Andrew and I, who ended up winning, did manually try to solve every answer in the semi-final round. And funnily enough, that question was so complicated that he actually scored the highest amount by doing everything manually.
Wow. That's amazing. What a strategy.
I know. Anyway, so Dan's taking a very interesting approach, because he is effectively, well, I think most people have tried to look at where the bombs are and tried to specify I guess the 10 locations of each bomb. What Dan is doing here, he's set up a list of numbers in columns L and M that reflect all 100 positions in the grid. So at least I'm assuming there's 100 columns here. Obviously we can't look all the way down.
It looks like it. Yeah.
And so we've got this row offset.
He's converting it into one single column, and then I suppose I wonder if there's going to be a data table somewhere along the line where you can see all the different games simultaneously.
That's right. The interesting thing is, though, he's basing this off, at the moment at least anyway, what looks to be the sort of manual bomb locations in A1 to J10. I'm wondering when he starts taking in the inputs where people specify the actual 10 locations of the bombs, whether that's going to throw a spanner in his works, because everything is kind of keyed up to the grid at the moment. Whereas, moving forward, he's going to need to substitute the cell references to find them instead.
Yeah. And this is where that first 5 minutes of reading question is so important, because the strategy of just taking, and it's the same with the when you compete in the standard rounds in the Financial Modelling World Cup every 6 weeks or so when they run them, the open rounds. It's really important to sort of look through the entire question and not to just dive straight into it, because sometimes if you know what's happening in the later, or you know what's coming up, you can design the model in such a way that it's going to answer later questions as well.
Yeah. So I have to admit, when I took this question, when it was sent to us beforehand to check it out, I took an approach quite similar to what Dan is doing here, where we identified, I guess, where you might try and click, and then identify all the surrounding locations around that. So I didn't use specifically a row offset and column offset like he's doing right now. What I actually did was sort of convert all the references to a sort of a 1 to 100 in the grid. And just sort of like +9, -9, +11, and so forth, to try and work out where the corresponding things were. But I mean, it's a very similar approach, and he seems to have things in hand at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, he's got no points. I mean, Ben has jumped forward to 250 points. Should we take a look at Ben's screen and see what he's been up to? He's jumped on to 250 points already, and Dan's still setting up. But I have a feeling Dan is going to catch up. Okay, what's Ben been doing?
So 250 points. Did Ben solve level 3 first? Is that what's happened? Because I mean, it looks like he's trying to come back to level 2 right now. Oh yes, you can see he's level 3 answers are in place. So he's actually jumped ahead, solved level 3, and is now thinking where else he can score points.
Interesting strategy.
Makes a lot of sense though, because if you find that level 3 is easier to solve, or alternatively, if it's easy enough to solve, then level 3 generally scores you more points than level 2. So you can
essentially get
ahead a little bit by solving that stat.
Yeah, it's a good strategy, but I find, I mean, particularly, with all of these questions, they are quite sequential, and the first couple of questions build on everything else builds on those, and so I generally find it makes sense to go in sequence. But that's an interesting point strategy to jump ahead like that.
Mind you, it's worth noting, I think the level 3 questions uses the same bomb layout as level 1, and so maybe whatever solution he used for the level 1 was very easily applicable to level 3. I imagine that's probably what's happened here.
That's true. It is exactly just one. Each of the questions is quite different, because the layout is, in some of them, the layout is complete, like they're different games, and as you say, in 1 and 3, the layout is exactly the same, just the question. Yeah.
It adds, like, for the viewers, just so that they understand what the questions are. The first question is just simply to answer how many bombs are next to each cell that you might try and click on. The third question, which was just solved by Ben, basically has a string of inputs with the idea that you're going to be clicking through each cell one at a time, and it's basically trying to work out how many turns you're taking until you either solve and sort of finish all 90 squares that don't have bombs, or if you hit a bomb and that's game over. Basically trying to measure how long will each game last. The other questions are a bit fundamentally different, I think. So level 4, the one that he's looking at right now, is essentially looking at the total sum of all the digits in all the cells on the board. So fundamentally here, what he needs to work out,
which is not something that you would have to do as part of when you're playing Minesweeper. I mean, you really wouldn't generally care, but from an Excel perspective, this is really going to test their skills in being able to figure it out. So it's not necessarily about the game, but it's about using the game as a frame to test Excel skills.
That's right. Yeah. Okay, let's head over to Nick's view, because Nick scored some points now.
Oh yeah, he's doing well.
He was sitting on 32 points, which is a bit interesting. So it's clearly he's cleaned things up. It looks like he's solved question 2 and is now working on question 3. Notice he's on 220 points. That was a comment that I made earlier, that if you answer question 3 first, you're at a slight edge over the folks who answer question 2 first.
I mean, it all comes down to time, doesn't it? I mean, how much time have you how many points can you score in the time? And it'll be interesting to see if anybody makes it right to the end. So it's quite possible. Sometimes we see that in these cases. It's really hard to tell. Something that you think is really, really difficult, and you think there's no way anybody's going to get through this in 30 minutes, and sometimes they do. You just never know. I mean, anything can happen in these games.
That's right. It's interesting what he's doing here. He's using an is number and a reference back to the bomb table, I think. I think he seems to have got the right answer for the example, and so all he needs to do is copy this down. Yeah, it's
good having that top one there, because they can test it to see if they've tested the formula or whatever approach they've taken to make sure that they're on the right track, and then complete the rest of the answers. So those that green column, now that's going to match back, and it just automatically
I've lost my audio.
It automatically links back to the.
Sorry, Daniel, I've lost my audio, so you might need to carry on the commentary for a second.
I'll just bit. That's all right. I'll just keep talking. I was just saying that the green column, what that does is it links back to the scoring in Excel, of course, and everything calculates automatically, so that if they match the exact number, then that will just automatically we'll be able to see exactly who is doing well. Wow. Okay, I can see that Nick has really jumped forward. Wow. Okay.
Yep. Sorry.
Nick
back now, Daniel.
You're back.
Yep,
Nick's
I'm back.
he has just jumped forward. He is in the lead. Interesting.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So that solution clearly worked. I wonder if whatever he's put together is now going to be sufficient to be able to handle questions 4 and 5. Question 4 I mentioned, where it's more of that sort of standard Excel test where you're trying to sum up the numbers on the board. Question 5 is the same as question 3. Basically, work out how many turns you're going to take to get to the end. But instead of clicking every cell one at a time, it follows the full Minesweeper rules, where if you click a blank cell, that's going to open up large swaths of the board. Which adds quite the challenge, I suppose, to
far more
turn
complex. And I can't see how you're going to do it without actually creating a simulation of each game. So yeah, interesting. So we're about halfway through. We're over the halfway mark now. So we should see the points really starting to roll in now.
That's right. I'd love to head back to Dan's screen to see how he's going. He's got 108 points, which means that he's now got 60 points. He's
changed.
something.
Yeah, he must have changed something. Okay. All right. Let's see
What's
he's up
going
to.
on. Because he was trying to put together a universal solution before, and I wonder if he's sort of taken a quick peek at the results and realized that his answers weren't quite right, and so he's sort of given up on those and moving on to one of the other questions instead.
Well, I saw him scratching his head earlier, so maybe he's just having a bit of a think. Yeah, okay. Maybe his universal solution didn't quite do what he thought it might, but I have faith that he will figure it out. Okay.
Alrighty. It's certainly interesting, the approach that he's taking. CountF. So he's using what's it called? He's using dynamic arrays to try and get some things out. He has. Let's see, what else do you have here? Level 2 answers, level 1 answers. I can't quite follow what he's trying to do, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's quite the solution he's got there, but let's see how he's doing.
Either way, it's not quite working for him, because I think he's identified all the positions on, like all the bomb positions on the board. Okay, so I think in column AS, so the yellow cell that's above the freeze frame, I think that's the feeder for his data table. So you'll see he's got like a 1 value in there, and he's got items 1 to 20. So I think he's going to be using that to feed a bunch of other calculations.
So once he's got it set up, he'll be able to run through the data table and see, because it's quite time consuming. The way I did it, I ran a simulation for each one, and which worked really well, but it was quite time consuming because you had to change the inputs for each one at a time and then add in the result manually. So it was rather a manual solution. Whereas I think if he can get this working, it's going to be quite quick. He'll be able to just see them all simultaneously with the data table and just paste them in, hopefully.
That's right. So he's checking his answer. The numbers appear to be what he thinks they ought to be. But I'm supposing that it's not quite right.
Who haven't we haven't looked at Jason or Ben's screen for a while. What do you think if we which one do you want to jump over and have a look at?
Let's check out Ben. Because Ben scored 250 points previously, and then he scored 11 points now, which I assume is one of the level 4 answers, right?
Yeah. He's not moved. He jumped straight to 250 really quickly, and he hasn't changed for a little while. He's checking out his wizard to check out his formula, do a bit of troubleshooting there. Okay.
Here we go. So this looks good. It looks like he has his bomb locations on the left-hand side based on a series of references. And then he's got a grid on the right-hand side that he's calculated that seems to be pretty dynamic. So I'm betting that he's probably going to get the level 4 answers done pretty quickly.
And he's got a little feeder cell as well in what is it, E1 with a game number, which looks like he'll be able to scroll through pretty quickly as well.
That's it. So I'm looking for. So which question is he answering? Level 2 or level 4?
I guess it's level 2. He hasn't done level 2 yet, so I'm guessing it's that one.
Okay. But I mean, I think the structure that he has there could answer level 4 very quickly as well, because I imagine that level 4 is just the sum of all the grid on the right-hand side with all the numbers. So that'll be a very quick answer.
Yeah, we've got less than 10 minutes to go, so we're really, starting to really get challenging now. If they haven't created their solution by now, they really need to.
I do enjoy the fact that so Ben, you may have seen in his formula, he had a hard-coded reference to the little bomb symbol.
Yes.
I do enjoy the fact that they are sort of living the Minesweeper.
Absolutely. Yeah. I did that. I mean, I know a lot of these cases have got, they use icons and different sort of visual elements, and sometimes it makes sense to replace it with numbers. So just to do a find and replace and replace the bomb icon with a number or something. But in this case, it worked quite well to just use it like a symbol. Well, it is a symbol, and put inverted commas around it, and then use it within the formula. So that works quite well, and yeah, it's kind of fun to use those within a formula.
Absolutely. All right, let's check out Jason then, because as you said, we haven't seen his view in a little while.
Oh, he's just doing a sequence formula. That was I know that's one of your favorite formulas as well, Tim. Absolutely love the sequence. So
it is. Sequence solves so many problems.
I can't believe we did not have that until recently. I mean, what was life before the sequence function?
That's right.
Okay, interesting.
What this is, because I'm guessing the zeros are the bombs and the -1s are to say there is no bomb, I guess. But I wonder what he's actually trying to do with this.
Okay. So he's basically doing the formula to look around it. I don't know if the count if is going to work. I gave that a go. Oh yeah, I see. So he's doing them separately. I gave that a go too, and then realised it was quite hard. But so he's adding the count if together, because of course when you do a count if, it needs to be sequential.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see if that works. Yeah. So you've got to sort of look around it and see if there's a bomb nearby, and then count how many bombs are there.
I mean, that looks reasonable. The results seem to be correct based on the bomb placements. He's getting the right numbers on the right hand side.
And he's used some conditional.
Like he's trying to solve level 4.
Okay.
So I guess he's going to take the sum of these.
Yeah, his points are not really reflecting that. He must have skipped a few levels, because his points don't look as if he's up to level 4.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that was his decision. So rather than try and fight his way through rounds 2 and 3, which everyone else will be succeeding with.
Yeah, true. I do remember him saying in his intro that his favourite shortcut was Control-Alt-VV, the paste values, and it looks like he's making good use of that shortcut at the moment.
Oh goodness, yes. See, this is a funny thing. He's doing this manually, which is okay. Like the process that he's using seems to be relatively quick.
Yeah.
And he's getting through this. He's only got 6 minutes left, so he needs to get a motor on. But it's interesting, like the different approaches. Like someone like Dan would have tried to build a solution that would be flexible enough to cater for the index shifts, essentially. So rather than look purely just down a column, maybe sort of stretch it out across the entire range, the rows and the columns.
His this was my solution as well, which I wasn't entirely happy with, because it's so manual. Look at him having to manually change each one and then copy it across and down, and that's okay. It'll get him there, but it's pretty time consuming, this manual kind of copying across and then copying it each time, and then he's hard coding the result in, and then at the end he'll take that entire row and then paste it into the answer sheet. So you'll see him get a whole ton of points all at once he's done that. So yeah, just how many points though is the question, because it's got less than 5 minutes to go.
And you just got to hope that gets the answers right, though, because I would feel crushed if you took these things and then you actually get it wrong afterwards. The amount of manual work involved here, I would feel so horrible.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. They can see their points, can't they? So I mean, yeah, maybe it would make sense to paste in a couple and just make sure he's on the right track rather than getting all the way through and then finding perhaps it isn't quite right, because you get something a little bit wrong and the numbers won't match and he'll end up with nothing.
That's it. Well, let's check out Nick, because he's in the lead at the
moment. He's jumped ahead.
Certainly scored. So I think he's finished level 1, 2, and 3, and he's trying to work his way through 4. But it's interesting, whatever he's doing for 4, he hasn't solved it completely. Otherwise, he'd have a great many more points in this.
Yeah, he's doing really well, but I've got a feeling Dan is just going to come from nowhere and just jump in with some few extra points at the end.
Well, Dan did manage to complete level 2, 2, and 3 fairly quickly once he had that universal solution of his.
He did.
It's whether he can adapt it to.
Yeah. You'll see his points just jump up really quickly once he's got it. But Nick's doing really well, and he's still in the lead.
Oh. Yeah. I've just noticed Nick may have sabotaged himself a little bit here. Earlier on in the spreadsheet, he has inserted a few columns, and so the inputs here, you can see between 14 and 15, there's 4 additional columns that might stuff things up a little bit.
Yeah. I see what you mean. There's extra. I wonder why he did that. Must have.
I think he was trying to solve some things for level 4, and he's needed to insert a few extra columns to make that work. But
but now it's
just not considered the sort of impact of that.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, once you've entered it, he could just remove them. So it's apparently it's all of them. He's really close. I mean, Nick is really close. Maybe we should have a look at Dan, because the total of all 4 levels, if you solve them correctly, it's 640 points is the maximum. So
that's right,
Nick is for the first 4 levels. Yeah. So Nick is really close to solving it. And if Dan's going to solve the 3rd level, he might just take the lead.
So I think the score that Dan has is correct for levels 1, 2, and 3. So I've just got a note here. Dan has solved levels 1, 2, and 4. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's trying to solve level 3 now.
Yeah, and there are less than 2 minutes left. Wow.
Oh goodness.
Okay. So yeah, he's actually Jason is close. He's right behind Dan. So I think Jason still is a contender. But Nick is at the moment, he's still in the lead, and there's only a minute and a half to go.
All right. So it seems, I guess, that Jason has managed to get some of that solution for level 4 that he was trying to do before, I suppose. If we switch over to Jason's screen, we'll be able to see how successful he was at getting level 4 done.
Yeah, let's have a look.
Yes, there we go. So level 1, level 4 completed, and I hadn't actually noticed, but there's a note in the bottom left-hand side of the screen that tells us how things have been completed.
I didn't notice that either. That's great. So you can see. We can see how many levels are they cleared.
So many changes this year. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Full-person views, details.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, why don't we zoom back out to all 4 views to wrap things up for the last half a minute. Nick seems to have scored an extra few points.
Oh my gosh.
I think really the question is, can Dan fix up his formula to get level 3 done? Because if he can, he basically storms through and wins the session, I think. Whereas if who was it? Nick? Was it Nick or Ben who was close to it? I think Nick.
Nick. Wow. Okay.
If he realized that Dan was so close, I imagine what he would be doing is basically just dropping in a couple of extra points, and just solving things manually to make sure he gets there.
And we are out of time.
That's right.
That is loud. Yeah.
I'm noticing a couple of people in the live stream chat saying it's time for Ran Between. Interestingly enough, it looks like nobody here has used the Ran Between approach.
Yes, that is definitely a strategy we have seen used before. Just coming up with a random formula to just see, in the last couple of minutes, and you don't have a lot of time left. You got nothing to lose.
That's it. Well,
okay.
Looks like Nick has taken out the competition.
Wow.
613 points.
That is close. That was really close. Okay.
That's right. I reckon if Dan had another 5 more minutes, he probably would have scored his 640 points, which would have put him in the lead. The question is whether another 5 more minutes would have bought Nick any additional points in there as well.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Less than 5 minutes. Dan, how much extra time did you need?
Let's
one of the level 4 games instead of the level 1 game. Like all I got to do basically is change. If you can see my screen.
No,
not anymore, unfortunately.
Not anymore. No, game's over, Dan. Game is over.
There's one column where I had a reference column AR, so I just instead reference column, AQ. Then I would have got the 200 points for level 3 and would have got 640. So.
That was,
If I bothered to do the level 3 example, I would have found that. But anyway.
Yeah. You were doing so well, and Jason just overtook you in the last couple of seconds. It was so close. That was amazing to watch. And Nick, congratulations to you.
Thank you,
Nick. Hi. How are you feeling? How are you feeling?
I feel a bit better than I probably was my first few minutes, where I was floundering somewhat, trying to get my head together. I think I was thinking about level 4 before I was thinking about level 1, so that didn't come together too well. But as I got into it, I felt a bit more comfortable.
Okay. You must be feeling really happy.
Yeah, I am. I don't know where I went wrong with. I want to say level 3, was it, or level 4? One of the levels. I put the form there, and I was kind of expecting it to come together, and it didn't. I think it might have been level 4, and I wasn't too sure. I'm still not sure actually where I made a mistake. If you picked it up, I'd love to know. And then level 5 from the outset, I thought it was going to be a tough ask, and a little bit cheeky maybe in how I stole some points there in the end, but I'll take them.
How did you do that at the end? Did you do some
the rationale behind it is that I was able to work out relatively quickly when the first bomb went off, which might be say after 20 turns. However, of course, there are the skips that occur before it. So basically, I knew what the maximum that the answer could be. It's likely that there were going to be skips in there, so I chose a nice number, 20%, and I basically took 80% of in that example, the 20. I'd give my answer as a 16. Dragging that down, it clearly had a few hits that came from it. So I love the Ran Between formula, and on a different day I might have used that. But because I knew I had quite actually a narrow range really where it could be, I just thought, I'll take that constant percentage off each of those answers, and obviously, it snuck me a few points.
Wow, well done. It obviously worked well for you. We were just saying the Ran Between sometimes is an option.
Yeah, and it comes out a lot in the last minute, doesn't it?
Yes, sometimes it does. Ben, how are you doing? How was your game?
It was challenging. When I was reviewing, I kind of had in my mind what I wanted to do, but then actually putting it on the spreadsheet, it just didn't really work out. Like at the end, I was trying to work my way through a data table, and it just never worked for me. I need to go back and see. I'm sure it's probably obvious what I did wrong, but I do need to go back and see what happened there.
Yeah. And Jason, fantastic, incredible performance. You jumped forward at the last minute. So how did you go?
Some time to, because I focused a lot on level 4, and I took a couple of trials, like different formulas and what I could use, and I think that cost me some time. And then I realized that I could get some easy answers from level 3 when I read the question properly. So That's probably what you saw in the last second.
Yeah, well done, amazing, well done. Yeah. We've lost Nick's visual, but we can still hear him. Did you have any other comments, Tim, or any questions for the guys?
No questions in particular, but I just want to highlight, I guess, what the prize of this is. So, Nick, congratulations again. And there's no cash prize for this round, unfortunately, but you've basically jumped straight into the main Financial Modeling World Cup Open at the end of the year. So, congratulations on getting seeded for that right off the bat.
Yeah, straight in there. And the prizes for the FMWC Open, I think, is there's a huge prize pool for that one. Yeah, there's a couple of other things I wanted to mention. 15,000. Yeah, 15,000 prize pool for the FMWC Open, which is coming up towards the end of the year. So that's very exciting. So many more battles coming up. So this is the very first continent battle for this year. This is the Asia Pacific one. We've got 4 more coming up. There is Europe, Africa, Latin America, and North America. And that will form the seeding for the FMWC Open towards the end of the year, which is, I think, around November time. Don't forget that the cases are still available for another couple of minutes. So for those of you watching on the live stream, right until the end, you'll be able to go to the FMWC shop and download the case for today for free. So that's available just until the end. I know when we did this, the first time we did this, I think we crashed the shop. So let's hope that doesn't happen next time. Don't forget, if there's any university students out there, there's still the FMUC, the University Challenge. So that is the live stream is on the 7th of May. And that is still open. So I think it's free to sign up, and students can still sign up. It's until I think it closes on the 7th of April, which is next week. And there is a $10,000 prize fund for that one. So that's, definitely. I mean, what have you got to lose as a student? I would definitely be signing up for that. If there's any university students out there who, think they're pretty good at Excel, jump in and give it a go. And of course, finally, there's the regular FMWC Financial Modeling World Cup rounds, which happen, I think there's about 8 throughout the year. And the next one is quite soon, on the 23rd of April. I've just realised I'm going to be quite jet lagged over that weekend, so I'm not sure I'm going to be able to compete. Oh my goodness. But yeah, are you
competing in the FMWC regular rounds, Danielle?
Always. Yes. I always give it a go. It's honestly, it's one of the best. It's one of the best training grounds to be able to, where else can you get cases? It's a regular way to test your financial modeling skills. Why not? And I definitely would encourage more women. We need to get more women in that competition. I run a financial modeling, women in financial modeling meetup group, and we get together every couple of weeks and talk about financial modeling. We go over the cases after the rounds have been completed. So any women who are interested in financial modeling, we'd love to have you. So I think that was about it from me. Was there anything you needed? Anything I missed, Tim?
Well, I think that's about it from me. Thank you to all the players for joining us. It's been a pleasure having you here. It's a pleasure watching you model. I hope you don't spend the next hour or two trying to solve the things that you missed out during the tournament. But yes, thank you for competing, and we look forward to seeing the next group in the next continent battle shortly.
Yes, thank you for being such a fantastic co-host, Tim. And of course, thank you to our competitors for their amazing performances. I hope everybody learned something, and thank you so much to everyone at Financial Modeling World Cup for hosting these amazing esports, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye, everyone.
All right, thanks, Danielle. Bye, everyone.